Hi, everybody. I just want to remind you guys to go out to Amazon and get my book entitled Reflections of My Heart Secrets. So this is a book of original short stories and poems. So don't forget to go out there and purchase it. And also, I just want to remind you guys that this book is to encourage and to inspire everyone and to let us know, us older ones know that don't let our age scare us or discourage us from accomplishing our goals. Hi, everybody, and welcome.
Yes.
I'm Visible Lady of Faith, and this is
Her other half. Yay!
And we're here to share our perspective with the Sunday school lesson entitled Hezekiah's Prayer for Sunday, September the what? The 15th, 2024.
Okay. I had to think about that. Go ahead.
We're trying to come up with something that we can share with y'all about what we can learn from the Sunday school lesson that we can apply to our everyday lives as believers. So this lesson is a story about King Hezekiah. And it starts off that some messengers had delivered a letter to Hezekiah. Hezekiah read the letter and proceeded to go to the temple. We don't know if it was days or hours when he went to the temple, but when he got to the temple, he went to the temple to pray.
And he presented that letter to God. Hezekiah, the king of, as an Israelite king, I believe it's Judah where he's the king is. My memory serves me correct.
Yeah, Judah. Southern Kingdom, Judah.
Right. And also, too, the interesting part about it, because with these kings, like we talked about King Solomon, King David, they all had a prophet. That prophet's responsibility was to be a conduit between the king and God. So the prophet helped the communication, with God. So we have the characters. We have King Hezekiah. We have the prophet Isaiah. We also have God. We also have
King. It's hard to say his name. Sennacherib.
Sennacherib.
And he was king with the Assyrian.
He's the king of the Assyrians. Yes. The light bulbs came on when I saw that God not, always thought as a kid and just argued with the different other ministers and deacons until I sat and did a little bit close studying, that God was only just talking to the Israelites and they were the special people. That's not true. God speaks to everybody on the planet. They all have a purpose, but these three just wanted to bring out the Assyrian. They said God's own hand. So I see it as the Assyrians sometimes have to keep the Israelites in line. That's what I see right now. So God is in play here. And then, we'll also know the Israelites was delivered out of Egypt. And Egyptians had their role too. And just briefly, just one interesting thing. Okay. People always think about Pharaoh and the 10 plagues. But we keep forgetting about how they got there in the first place. Because the Egyptians and the Israelites have a very close relationship, to this day. Yes, there were some bad leaders. The United States, we had some bad leaders and some good leaders.
Okay, so this is how I understand this lesson that we could, I'm not like 100% confident about my interpretation, but God was using the Assyria to, I guess to, like I said earlier, bully Israel.
Well, she called them bully because today now Assyria, that's like Iraq, and Syria, today in that area. I'll just say this, and I remember one of the members of the church way back when my dad was the pastor of the church, and she said, why do we turn around and use Jesus like a spare tire? That's a problem. We should not be bringing Jesus out when we're in trouble. And Hezekiah has inklings, this in this particular lesson, that we have to dig into a little bit closer and say, okay, how did it turn out with Hezekiah and all this politics and the war and, like you say, bullying in that area? Mm-hmm. Okay.
So Assyrian ruler Sennacherib, I really have a problem saying his name, was what was they doing? They were invading invading Judah, and
Yeah.
they were destroying the major city.
Yeah.
And
They're going into Israelites' territory, and
Yeah.
God uses them as like you say, His hand. He uses them to. Sometimes it's like a sheep herder. The Israelites needs to be coached, in a certain direction, and the Syrians did a lot of that for God. But also, too, God had control of them, and I wouldn't necessarily call them.
police.
Well, bullies. You can kind of understand.
Yeah, because
No, see,
right here.
Yeah.
See,
But
Jerusalem only survived because Hezekiah had agreed to pay them.
right. Bully them into
Pay them.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, okay, we'll give you this if you just leave us alone.
Right. Our family, their son was getting bullied, at high school, and it was in the music department, and all of a sudden, well, I wouldn't say all of a sudden, our son became friends with this other individual. I'm trying not to use the names because names in it, but anyway, they were being bullied because, by an individual that was a lot bigger than them, and then think of my son as like an Assyrian that he actually saw it and had enough. So God said, I'm going to take that individual and stop that bullying, because the parents kept going up there trying to make their child safe, but they kept bullying the child. Mm-hmm. But my son stepped in, our son stepped in mm-hmm. and shut that bully down. Mm-hmm. So did it make my son a bully? People will probably say, well, he was a bully. No, he got tired of him messing with his friend, and he shut it down. Because the interesting part about it, the reason why I know so much about it, because I threatened my son. And this is kind of, the politics because I threatened my son, told, look, you're in high school now. I'm tired of going up there talking to these people, making sure you don't get the wrong end of the stick. But he said, no, I'm Dad, I'm calling letting you know that you don't have to come up here, but I'm going to tell you what I did. And what he told me, and after he told me, he said, you're not in any trouble, I just busted up laughing. I said, that's good for that bully.
But I think we still have to have the same qualities.
Yeah.
And not use God like Hezekiah was. Well, he needed him, but not use him as a spare tire only when we need him. I think we should express gratitude on a daily basis for all of our blessings.
Go ahead, keep going.
Go on.
No, because see,
Okay.
because relationships, because if I dealt with my wife like a spare tire, we wouldn't be able to say we've been married for 48 years, right?
How would that look like? You using me as a spare tire?
I would, well, hey, what I can go down that typical thing with with men, they want this and they want that, so I'm only going to bring you something good when I want something.
Oh, okay.
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 When I want something, it's just like the spare tire concept. When there is a crisis, then the spare tire comes out. Mm-hmm. When there's a crisis or something I want, I'm gonna come in and I'm gonna bring flowers in and everything because I want to go buy a new car. So I'm gonna butter her up so I can do that. We need to give consistent attention to our relationship. If you decide to take a vacation off, then let's just say I decide not to cut the lawn for a month. What do you think is going to happen?
Long grass.
Yeah, and create other kind of problems, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and if I decide to take, I don't need my wife for about a year. I can go without her. And after that year, I'm going to have to say, okay, what have you been doing for 365 days? So I'm going to have to answer to all that. So I would prefer to take care of it, a day at a time, and then whenever we can pay attention, give each other attention. I would prefer to do that.
Quality that we can learn from the same lessons that we can learn about how to pray, not how to pray, but the qualities we should have when we pray, to be sincere and to be honest and to have faith and to believe that God is listening to our prayer and hear our prayers and that He is forgiving us for our sins.
See, you said something I'm glad that maybe that's why you were looking at King Solomon, the lesson there for a while, and you finally flipped over. But see, King Solomon, you remember we were in that, and the big thing about that stuck out, with King Solomon, that we should know ourselves just like God knows ourselves. And if we're taking the time to know ourselves and we're praying about ourselves and getting really to know who we are personally, That's a constant 24/7 job.
Right. That's a never-ending job.
That's
really.
a persistent job.
Yeah.
That's what Hezekiah should have been doing, as opposed to playing that politics when he, the king of Syria, that he had to go. What he said he had to give him something because
he had to pay tribute.
He had paid tribute
for them to, I guess, leave him alone, the Syrian king. Yeah.
Yeah, as opposed to if he was dealing with God and his relationship, he'd have been on top of the thing and he wouldn't have had to pay tribute to him. Okay? Myself personally.
But sometimes countries do that. It's not right, but sometimes that happens. Just like Haiti had to pay France so many millions of dollars. I tell you, this discussion to me was challenging to get a understanding about what we can learn from this lesson to apply to our everyday lives to help us grow and to have a better understanding of the inspired word.
The question is, are you going to be one of those prayerful ones that's going to be grateful for all the good things, the bad things, the medium things with God and building that relationship? Because evidence has come in a lot of people's life. When the pandemic hit, a lot of people ended up getting divorced because they couldn't stand each other.
Wow.
So those are the kind of things we have to be sure of. You just don't want to go to God when you need something, because God, he also needs something from us. And what he needs from us is to love one another, because if God, he says, here, I would answer your prayer, but I can't get this person over here to go and do it for you. Because God is not going to say, you got it. No, we have to be God's hands and feet, and we have to move and do that. And that's what Hezekiah and all these things, and how does it look today? If we're not doing what we should be doing as Christians, then God is not going to be as effective.
All right, so with that being said, we will see you next time. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time.